Before you dive into your chart, it's great for you to know a few words that will help you understand what I'm talking about later on. So if you know these words, it will just make everything flow a lot easier. It's not essential, but it is helpful, and it's really your choice. So if you're interested, let's talk about some lingo that will help you learn human design and find out all you need to know about how to read your chart. A really important part of the human design chart is what is undefined and what is defined. And what does that actually mean? Well, when something is undefined, it means it's white. And when it is defined, it has a particular color. That color is standard. So all centers remain the same color when they're defined. So you don't have a different color for different people. It will always be the same. So when something is defined, it will show up as a particular color. So here it shows the root, the spleen, the emotional solar plexus, and the throat are all brown. The identity and the ajna are yellow, and the head is green. Now, if you see all those numbers around the chart, they're all called gates. All gates have meanings, and I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I just want you to know what a gate looks like. Gates are the connections between the centers. So if you have two gates defined on opposite sides, then you'll have a defined channel. And when you have a defined channel, then you're going to also have the two centers connected. So it's like a road. And when you have a complete road, it can be all black, like an all black line, or it can be an all red line, or it can also be a black and red line. It's important to know that when you have a channel defined, you have the centers defined too. Unlike with the centers, whenever you have gates defined, they're only going to be black or red, or black and red. There won't be any other color. And if they're undefined, they'll always be white. So if you notice, there's half a black line on the left-hand side of the chart, and it's going up half of the line, so you don't have a complete line. So it's like a half a road. That would be just a defined gate, but it wouldn't be a complete channel. The body graph is made up of 9 different centers, and based on the centers that are defined or undefined, that can determine a person's type. We will talk about type in a few minutes, but I just wanted to show you that there is different centers. This picture actually shows someone who would have all defined centers. It's very, very unusual for this to be the case, but I just wanted to show you what it would look like, and that the colors, as I said before, are always going to be standard when they're defined. Now that we know what defined and undefined is, what gates are, and also what channels are, and also that there are 9 centers, let's pull the centers apart and just quickly have a look at what they are and how they work in the body graph. So now that we've got all the centers pulled apart and there's no more channels, this is what they actually look like. Since all centers have a lot of information to talk about, I do have one video on each center, but for now, I'm just going to tell you a quick word on each one. At the very top is the head center. This is the source of inspiration and thought. Right below the head center is the ajna. This is the place for beliefs and belief systems. Just below the ajna is the throat center, and this is the center for all manifestation, or where ideas and thoughts turn into actual things coming into being. Below the throat is the G center, also called the identity center. Some people call this the seat of the soul or our personality and what makes us us. To the right hand side is what's called the will center, also called the ego, also called the heart center. You can pick whatever name you want to use. This is where willpower comes from and is also about the resources we bring into our life. Below the will center is what's called the solar plexus or emotional center. Again, 2 names, and you can decide which one you want. And as the title says, or the name says, it actually is related to our emotions. And this is where if you have your emotional center defined, you would have an emotional wave. To the left-hand side of the emotional center or solar plexus is what's called the sacral center. Now this is the center of all life force. This is all life force energy. And this center is also very important for telling us what a person's type is, because it only is defined or read in certain types, and those would be the generator types. All other types will have a white sacral. To the left-hand side of the sacral is what's called the spleen. This is our intuitive or also instinctive area. This is also about our health, and it also is about the fears that we hold. And at the very bottom is the root center. This is the place for adrenaline energy, the drive to get things done. So these are the 9 centers. Again, very brief, but it will give you a little bit of a key word on what they are and what they mean. Now that I've identified the 9 centers, I wanted to specifically talk about the 4 motors. The 4 motors in the human design chart are the sacral, the will center, the root, and also the solar plexus. All of the 4 motors move energy to the throat, but if you notice in the body graph, some are a little bit further away than others, or maybe have a more convoluted route to get to the throat center, because all energy is meant to go to the throat center so we can make things happen. The most powerful of all the motors is the sacral motor, and this is only defined in, as I told you before, generator types. The least powerful motor is the root center. It's mainly because it's the furthest away from the throat center and it has the most difficult time getting to the throat center. It has to go through a lot of channels and gates to get there. That was just a little bit of terminology that will help you with your human design chart, but it's a great place to start. And please check out more of my videos where I guide you through each different part of the chart so eventually you'll be able to read it yourself.